the stream start going. Should be streaming. A little early. We'll see. It's better to be early than not. Hey, I'm early, so if you're not early, you're late. I switched things around. Of course, now I realize, now I hid part of the conversation behind one of the monitors, so I'll catch it up here in a second. So, let me get it scooted in here. See, that's the problem, too. I get it scooted in, and then the guitar starts banging. Hey, Frog. Hey, Robert. If you're early, then you're late. Yes, I caught that. Hello, happy Friday with Jill. And then we got Attaway Girl. Hi. With an exclamation mark. So she's excited. Josh is, hey, Wayne. He's got an exclamation point. Are you going to the Moonlight Gathering with your buddy Terry? No. I'm talking Terry Carter up in Utah, that thing they do? No, I don't do that. Hi Wayne, how you doing, bud? I'm doing fine. Hello from North Carolina. And good to see you, Wayne. Hope is all with you and the fam. And then Robert's back again. Moon Lake. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's that thing they do with all... They go up there and they talk about all the treasures that none of them gathered, but they supposedly saw the 5,000 gold bars in the cave. Happy Friday. So then I'll have to I'll see if I can move this monitor out so I can see what's down on the bottom there. So, but... playing. I'm not even looking. See, I got no room to do all that. I got to come up with a better situation. I'm getting better and better. So the monitor idea was really good for today. It was a really good idea until I realized that everything's going to disappear. It's 109 out, but it feels 110. So, it felt actually pretty nice out. It got warmed up. I got a bunch of work out in North Scottsdale. If you're familiar with the area, I'm out in between Tatum and Scottsdale. I think it's Peak View, which is just north of Dynamite down to Pinnacle Peak. And I'm working that whole area for the next... I got 2 more days out there probably. So, but I've been working out there, and... it's been a bit warm, so today I feel a little more low energy because it got warmed up, man, and I put plenty in. But it's Friday, so I was going to get out of there. I wasn't going to Sounds great. Thank you. I don't know why this, and I've listened back, and actually the guitar sounds really good on this. So I will always say these master built Epiphones acoustics, they actually sound really good. So I really liked it, and I've told the story about it, but it does sound really good. So you look at, people will spend, and it wasn't a cheap guitar, but compared to like, some of the Taylors and Martins and like a Hummingbird, all of which I've played, I found it almost very close. I mean, it just has such a great tone, and it might be the one out of a bunch that really has that tone. But no, it does sound really good, and it sounds equally as well in here, obviously. But we're talking about a microphone and just sitting in the room playing, and it does project very well. So, good guitar, and it's not a bad. I wouldn't say it's a bad beginner's guitar either, because it's nothing about it really awful. And I found it pretty playable right from the start. So we'll get in this since I can see this. When are you and Frank going to get on a live set? The problem is Frank. It's having him be able to do this and arrange it. And every time we talked about it, and he just, it's like he's kind of in. Hopefully this fall we'll do something, because it's getting him set up so he can do it. We can just bring him in, and he can just find a place to just set the phone. And I figure what we'll probably do is Trevor will work out a tutorial for it, and then we'll ask him where's the spot at the house. And then we'll make sure, okay, this is how we want you to set the camera so it looks right, or the phone, excuse me. And then we'll probably do that. We've tried, but it's it's different for different people. Some people get into it, some people have technical help. I just was like, got started on it differently, and it's also the timing of how much time you want to put into things. He's got his stuff he does, and he has a schedule in life, so it is what it is. Hello from Illinois, and there's Bobby. Speaking of Illinois, yeehaw, good evening, everyone. That's the general greeting out of Chicago for everyone that wants to know. Definitely, it's a Chicago greeting. Yeehaw. Best part of live music. Get you copyright. That is one thing I've been curious about. Anything I do, if I get too close, if it sounds too good, if I could get kind of like that strike, because they will do that. They've done that before to us with certain broadcast stuff or stuff we've done. So I always worry that if a guitar part gets too close, I always play it, if you notice, a little out of the rhythm or a little slower or faster. I just try to do it different enough that maybe, and then break it up, because they will do that, and then you lose all your audio for your whole video is what happens. Your video goes out, you put it on YouTube, and there's no audio anymore, because it doesn't pick that stuff. It just takes it all. Low energy, like Jeb Bush. No, like just tired. There we go. Well, now Bobby's trying to figure out where people are in Illinois so he can take their things. So Bobby's not like that. Say you're not like that, Bobby. I knew you were a good family man, searcher for gold, and a heck of an HOA president. I did not know you play guitar, Jay Watt. Yeah, it's just kind of like, yeah. So, yeah, you don't find me there. You find me drinking a beer, working on the Mustang in the garage with the dog. And it just goes kind of really weird, doesn't it? It's just yeah. Hey, Jay, what's up? Yes, yes, I do all those things and a number of other things, and it's just, it always kind of puzzles people, is like when they see, but I mean, for all of us, every person here, there's things you do that people find unexpected. You just do. They're part of your normal routine and part of things you do in life. And I think people are always thrown off of like, oh, you do that. I'm not a suit and tie guy, but I definitely, I can conform to Robert's Book of Rules of Order and do those sort of things. And I've been taught plenty and been appointed a city official and done those sorts of things. I actually was for the U.S. Justice Court redistricting map, which is where how they set up the political areas for different precincts and stuff. I actually was one of the people that kind of formed that. They do it every census, every 10 years, and I did that for the city of Surprise. I also was the person that was in charge of the 2010 census for the Latino vote. So nobody wanted to chair that group, and I was like, I'll take it. And there was plenty of people who were going to help out, but there was nobody who wanted to chair it, and I'm like, it's no biggie. So I just get to talk to people. So most of the time, a lot of what you're doing in those type of in the Latino community is getting the kids really into it, because that'll get the parents to, the kids get excited and all. But that was getting the turnout for the census, because the city really wants that. No other political motivation than government funding comes from that sort of thing. So there's a lot of government funding, and government funding is funny for anybody that doesn't know, is you get it, and if you don't use it, they take it and you don't get it back. They only give you back the next year maybe what you used the year before. So you have to use everything and then some, and you're always looking for more. So there's no such thing as surplus budget. They just pull it away and take it away. So if you don't find a way as you're trying to use it, Surprise, where I live in Arizona, had a great project where we were basically cleaning up houses. This is in the mid-2000s, and we were taking and buying properties and then renovating them and painting them and then selling them basically at just the upscale of what we put into them, and then taking the money and buying another property. Well, the problem was we weren't losing money. We were literally just buying a property and then getting the money back and then putting it into another property. Well, when it came down around to it, we got kind of screwed on that, because we weren't losing money. We were actually building on that, and it was a very, very cool thing. So get out of that stuff anyways. The rebel yell, yeehaw. Back at Apache Junction, howdy neighbor, Coal City. Oh, Lamont. She's in Lamont. Lamont was also Red Fox and Sanford & Son's name. There we go. I'm not like that. Well, I didn't say you were. I said, saying you're not like that. And you need to be more chipper when you say that. Remember when John Fogerty got sued for sounding too much like himself? It wasn't so much that as it was that everything he does sounds like Creedence. And they had signed a contract, and the other three people, including his brother, backed the manager, and they went, and he was literally losing money to them, and it got really weird. And because his manager had basically, I think, ended up owning his publishing. He didn't realize they took his publishing, and he basically, I know for years, part of the problem was he was like, I'll buy the publishing back, but they didn't want to sell him his own publishing. So they were trying to get money out of anything he did new. They were trying to take the money from him, because he wouldn't play Creedence either because of that. So he was writing new songs, and they're saying, well, you sound like Creedence, and this song sounds like Creedence, so we want the money because it all sounds like Creedence, and we own all the publishing and the copyright. So they were literally trying to copyright him, infringement on being him. And that was, I think even to this day, I think he finally got a bunch of it resolved. But yes, very, very sad that his publishing was taken away, and they wouldn't even sell it back. Are you searching for gold when you get there? Oh, that's a side conversation. He says, yup. Were you ever a fan of Missing 411 or Coast to Coast with Art Bell? I worked at a later shift at one point in time, and I would listen to Art Bell, because it was like kind of like the only reason people watched here in Phoenix, KPHO Channel 5 MASH and stuff, and I ended up watching a lot of Monty Python and Benny Hill and stuff like that, was because Channel 8, the PBS station, ran Benny Hill and Monty Python and stuff, and Blackadder and stuff like that at night. Then you had the Tonight Show, but there's only 2-3 channels at night, so you watch that stuff. So that was that. But you got later and around the midnight hour, there was nothing television, because this is even during cable, it just was infomercials at night. So I would listen to Art Bell, but I had a hard time engaging with it because that was the point where I was starting to realize the bull hockey. We're adults. Bullshit with how people kind of like the profitability of paranormal, and I started realizing it's a business, and I started seeing how that was all happening. We're gonna have drink to Bob Ward here. We could have a drink to Bob. We can't throw the bottle across the room and shoot it, but we can have a drink to Bob Ward. Where's the gold at, Wayne? It's locked away. There we go. But that goes back. Just arrived, Liberty, Maryland, I believe is MD, right? That's why the road construction. Who's coming up to my house? I just saw a body. Got the blinds turned. Couldn't tell what they were wearing. They're not ringing the bell. I'm not going to turn on the camera. But they're not leaving. Is it one of you? Is it one of me? No, it's an Amazon guy. Does anybody else have that problem that Amazon seems to be at their house 5-6 times a day? There's a little black kitten that comes and visits my front door, and then Amazon. Two most frequent guests to my house. That's why the road construction for Florida is literally a joke. Around 75 guys, 75 of them just standing there watching. I got some stories about that kind of stuff. No, they didn't. Fry and Laurie wasn't something I saw back then. Hey, Jax, Trevor, and Wayne. Trevor's at work. Jax, I do not see anywhere. He has not come in. A lot of things in life we think, and there's nothing wrong with believing in it. I have no problem with someone that wants to honestly kind of read books on the paranormal and that type of stuff and believe in Bigfoot and all. As long as they also understand it's a business. And everything, the television, the books, the streaming and the online stuff, the YouTube stuff, it's about pure entertainment and those people making a buck off of somebody. Very similar to, and you will notice you see wealthy people get into stuff like that, but they do it more as just a kind of like a way that, this is a revenue source. So, So I kind of like, that kind of stuff. But yeah, hopefully we'll always have something for anyone. And I always try to keep I don't try to go full-blown Penn and Teller James Randi on people. Because, and if you understand that reference, you really understand a lot. Ripples of the Lost Ice Cubes. Did Bob Ward have ice out there? See, there's a question for Salvador. Did Bob have a lot of ice in the freezer? Or was there never really cold drinks? Is that why he drank the whiskey so much? Any good finds yet? Well, it's hot. It's summertime. There's no good finds yet. The finds I'm finding are just snakes and rocks out in the desert right now. Actually, it's been the last 2 days I haven't seen many snakes. And I've been kind of keeping an eye, because what you do is you run into them going up around, and out here in Arizona, a lot of people put up these little short walls. They're about 3 feet high, and kind of before you get to the front door. So they're like, I don't know what you call them, patio areas. So you're going around it, but these walls, you can't see around them. And the snakes like to hide in those corners, and people like to put Mexican pots everywhere, and the snakes like to get behind those. So a lot of times you'll be going up by something, and then if you accidentally kick the dirt or you shuffle your feet, you'll suddenly hear a rattle, and you'll look around, and then you find it, and that's crazy. It's like, but that's usually, I run into them there, and then in the cracks of driveways, like in the expansion cracks, and sidewalks as well, going up in the patios and stuff, they like to lay in those. I don't know why. Maybe there's something about them, but they'll lay in those. I've stepped on a few of just like not even realizing there, because people do that. They'll do the painted driveways with designs and stuff, or the Pebble Tech, and they'll just blend in where you're just walking along, and you suddenly feel like a little bit of a water balloon or something weird soft that you're on, and then the snake freaks out, you freak out, and just it all goes to hell. So Tom is here. There's Tom. Experience. Any good finds, keep it up, fun to watch. Okay, so, and like I said, everything's dropping down, so I'm kind of like trying to catch up. I'm think I'm doing pretty good. Always a good show. Thank you, Wayne. Thanks. Yeah. Well, the unexplained disappearances like missing 411 and definitely creepy. Yeah, sometimes. So, it's funny because I thought about doing something like that. Trevor and I talked back when we were getting ready to do Chasing Legends. Let's do a 10-15 minute segment, kind of like, not America's Most Wanted, but something where we talk about someone that's missing in the Southwest. And because we weren't sure, we know our audience is worldwide. We know it's around the United States quite heavily, and there are Canadians as well. But there's a lot of people from Arizona that follow and kind of routinely check. So we thought maybe it'd be a cool thing to do that type of thing. And talk about someone like Cayman Welch, who's gone and missing, and keep it kind of fresh for people. And it was just kind of difficult because, and not in any reference to anything that I would mention right now, but a lot of them you're just like, I don't know if the person just didn't want to be there, and we don't know the background of, like, it's kind of weird, It was the weird one was, what was it, the other night on television? There was a guy on there, and I don't mean to laugh, but they were on the lookout for someone because they were missing. It might be with this person who had been twice apprehended for kidnapping that person before. And I'm thinking, well, wouldn't you keep them away from that person? Wouldn't you be keeping a better eye on things because this person's already twice done this? And you do have their mug shots. And why are they still out there? Love all the guitars you've got. Not as much as I do. Just reread Senator's Gold this week. Have you ever been to the grave? I've been up, well, it's not a grave. He's over the cliff. I've been up to that site up there. We talked about doing a video up there. Trevor really wanted to go up. He wanted to do the ridge line, and if we did that, I also wanted to show him a few things. He always wants to do the Flatiron, I don't know, like Flatiron Gym or something, I don't know. I told him, you get up there and there's a bunch of hippie hoopies up there and wacky nuts, and you might see someone go over the edge, and I don't know but I wanted to take him up for the center stuff. And then the worry is if we go up that route, that people might kind of watch what we're doing, and I don't want people to know where that spot is because you just want them to rest in peace. But yeah, I do know where that spot is, so never rappelled down there though. I took Tom and Corbin's word for everything on that and just let it be. So Montezuma and the Three Lakes Treasure, you told me to remind you on Friday. Yeah, it's Friday, and remind me next. I gotta pull it out. It's been a busy work. If I could, I'd look for centers. And I have. I think several of our Chasing Legends stories about myself, I've been up there with people looking for it. And I always kind of thought I thought I had an inside track knowing Tom and Corbin. And there was a couple other people I knew, and I thought I had some good people kind of back there, and I never felt like I was even close. I also believe that it could have went over the side, but I had an even stronger belief that he hadn't made it yet to the cache site. So you don't know how he hit it. There's no clue of how he really hit it. So I know I asked you before, but can't remember what you said. Is Travis Walton full of it? From what I've heard, he is. He seems like a nice guy. And there was one of the guys with him that I talked to once that seemed like a really nice guy. But then I started hearing way too many different things and certain things, and it sounds like it's like we've never changed our story except when we've changed our story at times. And I think that's always to keep it fresh. You gotta freshen it up. And I kind of find the whole thing puzzling weird that it's like he is kind of unique on what he says happened. And he seems to be the rock out of all that, of that this is what happened and this is how it happened. I don't know. So you don't know if it was a hoax by those guys and they almost believe it now, which does happen. I've met people that literally I know things didn't really happen, but they literally believe it at a certain point. It's just becomes just stuck inside them. So I'm never quite sure of all of it. I remember reading the book because he wrote the book and then the movie, which is based on his book. So he's gotten plenty of his 15 minutes out of it, and he resurges what is it, about every 7 to 10 years there's a little resurgence. And there was one with someone, but then the people attached to the resurgence this last time, not recently, but before, were people that had kind of like weren't the kind of people you'd want to associate or have kind of be your promoters, managers, front men for that. So it kind of told me a lot about the situation, and there was a lot of material came out, and then it became a kind of a mess. And anybody that's followed it would know that. And I just kind of was like, he gets his time, I think he's been on Joe Rogan. Everybody gets on Joe Rogan, right? Except for me. Joe Rogan should have me on. See, there you go. Joe Rogan should have me on. The house is a rockin'. I watched as well Swedish. I'm sure Europe watched as well. The ladder up the creek was amazing to me. The ladder, up in Crucifix Canyon with the bats and all that. Nasty place, man. Nasty place. If I never have to step foot there again, I will be fine with that. That is just a nasty, horrible place. There's just so much guano, and you don't know what guano is kind of like. It's just when you step in it, it poofs up and the spores go everywhere, and it tastes nasty, it smells nasty, and then if you're wet because it's raining, it sticks and it just ruins everything. Now it's just, I am so surprised of the 20-25 people that ended up going up there, 15, 20, whatever the number was. I'd have to get a count someday. I know, and I recently, Glenn Evans was out here, and Glenn and I talked about, Frank never was there, but Glenn was there when we filmed, and we talked about it a bit, trying to name down who was actually there when we filmed, because obviously DeLille and Magnuson were, and I was. Russell Muth was. I know the photographer for History Channel. I'm trying to remember his name. But he was there. Glenn was there. Chris Rabb from Jackass. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's so far out. But no, Christian Rabb was there. I got a picture of him. And I'd have to go through Mike Wonderly, because he was operating the drone that day. The EMT, which was Dave, was there on site, so that's 9. And they had a group. See, there was where Woody and Frank was, there was a pontoon boat, and they had lunches on that, and they had to run batteries and stuff in and out of the canyon to the crew. So there were those guys, but they weren't part of the group that went up there. The group that was up there was much smaller, I would think. Yeah, it couldn't have been more than 8, 9, 10 of us up there, maybe, when we were actually physically up there. That's why some of the things that happened up there stay up there. And I wanted to maybe say, hey, there's time and distance. There's some stupid stuff that went on, and we should talk about it. And Glenn agreed that because DeLille said no. And I kind of left it as, if someone has a problem with talking about certain things, then we just won't talk about it. So we let that go. All right, so there we go. Always that stupid ladder. Rocky Mountain Robert. A lot of Roberts today. Hello, Wade. Did you ever figure out what was it Frank found when he found that little heart shepherd rock that he found when you and your boys super a few years ago? Yeah, that's in my garage. We don't know. We really suspect it might have had something to do with Bob Ward. He was into the stone maps. There was a blaze. He had a lot of directions there. He took Salvador Delgadillo out there and ran him through there a lot on his stuff. It was really placed there and set there purposely. And then there was stuff in Ripples of Lost Echoes talking about the area and other maps. So there was specific things he was trying to clue in. We don't know the exact rhyme, reason, purpose. We found it hilarious that it had been there, and we'd been sitting there eating lunch and hanging out there. And it was just Frank's curiosity finally to look under that one rock and then find it. And it had been there forever because there was debris where you could see the water had been in there and then went down and up, and little sticks and debris that had rotted in there. You could tell it had been there a long, long time. So, but it has a happy home. Trevor hauled that out of his backpack, and it lives in my garage. I'd like to hear more of those pet adventures in the mountains. Thanks. The bad ones aren't the fun ones, man. Now they maybe are. Expansion cracks are like hammocks for snakes. Let's drink to Bob Ward again. Bob Ward already drank to himself 3 times since you said that. Since I finished saying that. Recently talked with a guy, born here in 1955, who spent all his life in Phoenix area. He told me that back in the days, people used to say if you entered one, you'd never come back. I don't know. A lot of people came back. A lot of people come back. A lot of people made it through. A lot of people lived in the mountains. That was the time period. People were living back in there and building little tiny homes and all kinds of stuff. So I'm a little indifferent to that. I think people were more superstitious or had kind of more a little more fear of the mountains. But there's always those people. There's people today that just are literally like, oh, what is that group? They're the Paranormal Files, went out to the Don's camp. And those guys are like, we'll never go back into those mountains. We're never going to go in those mountains. And then they show up at the museum and they're doing ghost hunting and UFO hunting at the museum. I have no idea why. Sorry, Steve. It's just whatever. And then they show up at the Don's camp trespassing. They film the sign and then they still go out around their way. And I don't know. And it's just like, come on, it's just hokey crap. And if you guys believe a second, it's just like rank amateurs. And you don't even know what you're talking about. You're talking about and saying things about things and the principles of you're literally just saying garbage. And you don't know what you're really doing. And I'm sorry. So one of the worst things in the world is I told someone, and this is how a lot of why the paranormal people won't have anything to do with me anymore. A lot of them kind of really stay clear of me. I once said to someone, you bring a medium, I'll bring a really good mentalist. Let's see who gives us the best stuff. And they didn't like that. But my point being is I guarantee you my mentalist was going to get better information for us than their medium. I'm sorry. It's because he's better at it, you know? But, yeah, so they don't like that when they're put in those positions. But I think that's good. I think it's good for people to kind of see the both sides and understanding of what something is. Don't give someone something and say, oh, look, this will throw out words and stuff. And you don't know if they've been sitting there for 3 hours and those words have anything to do editing with really what was said. You only hear what the audio that they're mixing. So, and they don't tell you that there's a library in that thing. It's like a computer with a it's just not that. They also don't like to point out that, you know, the whole thing with, remember the original spirit boxes where they do the radio frequency and it zip through? Yeah, if you're in an area with no power inside a building that doesn't get good reception, it wouldn't even have any stat. It would just be try it sometime. And which other people have. They said just take off the antenna and nothing ever happens. No words, no nothing, because there's nothing there. So, but the spirits play, you know. They like to grab the radio station commercials and talk to you through them. The last rendezvous, we heard large booms north of Don's Camp. Those illegal mining, probably, who knows? You never know. I've always been curious that the lack of, and I really wanted to know geologically why, the booms in the mountains that I heard when I was younger. What's happened with a lot of that? That is that there was a period of geological settling, and now things are much different. I don't know. Let's see. People searching. I'm trying to I can't, like I said, this monitor, and I don't want to mess with stuff. See, Trevor had a huge problem with me doing this with this monitor. Was I did it so I could get more stuff up here, and it's a great workstation. But then Trevor pointed out you really can't see behind it. And I moved the camera probably at the process of that. I still wonder about that. Okay, they were pretty loud, but it's bounces. Yeah, it sounds funny because here's another thing. If you base jump off somewhere up on the Dayside Cliffs or anywhere in the general area, when the parachute opens, it's huge booms, and they echo several times. So it can sound like dynamite going off just with that. So if there's someone out of sight in the canyon or somewhere, it can be that as well. Have you ever seen orbs up close? Orbs are dust. I know this for a fact. Anybody that works with cameras will tell you what orbs are. Orbs have very much disappeared now that we use less flashes. And now when you see more bugs and some dust flying around, it looks completely different. There's a reason that the ghost hunting guys use everything in night vision and stuff and not regular vision, just because it still allows that. But I can show you tons of pictures back when I would use the flashes and cameras and my 35 millimeter and stuff in mines and tunnels and all kinds of stuff. And all the orbs, crazy orbs with faces in them and stuff, people would tell me. And then once I went digital and I got better digital, all the orbs disappeared. And now I get very, very clean pictures because it's just, that's the way it is. Orbs don't like digital cameras, or digital cameras don't like orbs. I don't know. But that did change. Sometime I'll have to... See, that's something I wish we could do here is a topic like that, and then bring up some old pictures and show that, places we went, and then the difference over the years of how that changed. I used to hate that because unless you were the first guy in, you might get a little bit of the dust orbs up, but once more than one person got in, it was just over as far as taking pictures. And back in the old days, it was just nasty. It was just, look there's 52 million orbs in here, and the pictures were ruined. Highway in Tucson here. Oh, all of Tucson has just jumped in with us. Greetings, all. Is there close tent camping at the Rendezvous? There's close tent camping and open tent camping and all kinds of camping. We have an upper camp and a lower camp. There's first comes, first served for a few outbuildings. Actually, DeLille took one of the smaller little, what they used to be vendor booths, and he put his tent up inside the vendor booth. A couple people have done that. But yeah, there's plenty of room. There is lots of room. The upper area is more level, and it's kind of wide open, and just pick a spot. And then when you drive down into the lower camps, there's two areas. There's a lower camp, which has plenty of area going down to the fence line. And then there's an lower camp, which has several sites too. Just try to watch anywhere that you would see that people will drive. And because you don't want someone to come in, because it's very dark there, and at night people drive in, and someone could just drive through your tent and pick you up and drag you around there. All right, so I found these two metal detectors in that canyon area. They all filmed that y'all filmed in. When I saw your show, I wonder who they were. If someone vanished there and dropped them, they could be Magnusons. Magnuson lost everything. Lost his hat, lost metal detectors, lost his shirt. Magnuson, every time you turned around, he lost something. So you probably found something of Magnuson's. If they're Mine Lab, then that's whose it is. But yeah, Frank, I remember once turned and said, "Magnuson, what? Your hat? What do you mean?" And he's putting his hand on his head. Frank picks it up out of a bush. We don't know why it was in the bush, but it didn't blow off. It's like Magnuson just set it there and walked away. It was... Guy could lose anything, and I'm sure he has a sense of humor about it now. But yeah, that was Frank's always his thing, is we can metal detect everywhere because every group has a Magnuson that drops and loses shit. And that was Magnuson's thing. He was just like, there's some people that are magnetic. He was like repelling stuff off of him. Bright light, not camera, orbs, light orbs. I don't know. I've never seen anything but dust or bugs in orbs. And when I see it on TV and stuff, I just look at it and I don't know. It's, I think because I got, trying to think, late 90s, early 2000s, I had night vision camera. I got 2 of them actually here. And I would film with them. And I got so used to seeing bugs and things in them, and because it wasn't for paranormal, it was for like looking for animals, doing stuff at night. It was other stuff, and in mine tunnels, because you don't want to shine the lights all the time. I wanted something I could film without all the lights necessary. So if you go in with a flashlight, it works pretty well. But when the flashlight's away, at least you can still have a good picture. And black and white always shows really good. So I had that, so I got so used to different things, and it's just like having the 35 millimeter. You took pictures, and when we were in places, I was taking lots of pictures, and I noticed certain things, different things come up. I'd like to see the number of orbs that would come up with an old 35 millimeter up by the Bat Cave. That has to be Orb City of guano orbs. So, any interesting facts about Peters Mesa? A lot of garbage around from old brew. A lot of stuff left up there. It's gotten better. I know there was a time when anybody went up, Greg Davis would haul trash bags up. There was a stash of trash bags, I think, at one time. And then you would be asked just to bag up as much trash as you could from different camps, because it was just trash. And then Jesse Feldman would sometimes, when he packed people in and out of there, would pick it up, and other packers would. So they would haul it back out and drop it in a dumpster. So we did a bit of cleaning up there, but all the guys that were up there, and I'm not going to just throw all the names out because it just wasn't one person, but they were just like, it was just garbage. And it was like the good old boys club up there having a blast, and oh yeah, we're all in the old Wild West and all. And there were some areas that were just, it was like, what, why? So yeah, Peters Mesa got bad, and they all liked it, and they had their routes in and where they wanted. I mean, definitely Crazy Jake's area by Squaw, and then you had the other guys spread around in different places. Baseball size or bigger. Baseball size or bigger. But can you see them with the naked eye? That's the problem. Why is it only with a camera? I'm being devil's advocate. I mean, if you could see it with the naked eye, I would be different. I've never seen this stuff with the naked eye. It's always with a camera or something that causes that refraction. I'm sorry. So I take that with a lot of things and just take it and put it aside and say, you know what, there's a perfect reason for this, and I can replicate it like that. And I can replicate it because of this. So, and, if you can sit there and replicate it 20 times to do basically the same thing, because hi Wayne, do we know any of the 14 Apache from the 1942 other than Cecil Haywood? It was Silas, Silas. No, he didn't say. If he did tell John Cochera anything further than that detailed, no. He just said his name was Silas Haywood, and there wasn't a lot of information. You don't have to retract your stuff there, country carpenter. See, now you're all getting kind of crazy and stuff. Within 80 meters. See, now he's going like, see, this is what happens when these people talk about that stuff, as I point out just the logic behind it. And it's like, hey, so we need to go out, and if you can't see it with the naked eye, let's blah, blah, blah. And then they get all like, well, that's not how you have a conversation about it. It's like the conversation is, you can't see it with the naked eye. You only can see it like this, and it's only workable in this situation. What up, And you want a spooky story to be something that's spooky but not too easily explainable. And I hope he's hanging around and listening to this, but yes, don't bring, people bring in things that I sit and go, yeah, but that's not, if you should be, I don't know. Now he's saying miscommunicated. I don't know what he means by that. Anyways, dude, hang in there, man. No, nobody's gonna like lasso you up and hang you. light a fire and bleed you to death or anything. Come out to the rendezvous, bring your stuff. Hey, there were the people that were totally into the spirit stuff, and they had their meters, and I had my stuff, and we walked around and did stuff, and it was all cool. And Jack Tucker posted some of the stuff that we did. I felt there was nothing really. If there would have been something kind of cool that I thought kind of offered some balance to it, but I didn't want it to be something where I kind of explain what everything is and there's nothing that was, need to be interpreted. It's like, oh, that's cool, because we can't really pinpoint that, why it did this. So there you go. Read a spooky story. Okay. The weirdest stuff I have ever shot has actually been on infrared. It always can come out weird. Animals are weird. I mean, they always look like they're skinwalkers with weird eyes and super intelligence. It's cool. What I used to love is the kids. When Trevor was really little, I got one of him. He was spooked out back, and it was really, really cool because he looks like, very disturbed looking, like he's totally like freaking out and stuff. And it wasn't really that bad, but it does that. It causes a whole, so I got 2 of those cameras. I'll have to see if they both work and everything. I have them to take old, what do you call it? Not 8mm, Super 8. Anyways, the mini DVD and that kind of stuff, and rerun it and stuff. They have cards, but they also used to use tapes. We're talking about different orbs. My bad. Orbs. Now, there was The Orb, the band that worked with David Gilmour and did, was it Metallic Spears, which is a really cool CD. It's one of my favorite CDs that involves orbs, the band. So, anyways, no, it's very cool to do stuff. I don't take that away, and I hope Country Carpenter, I know he's probably kind of like upset about it all, but yeah, it's, there's rhyme and reason and stuff. I have friends, and I'll put this carefully, that are indigenous, and they have certain fundamental beliefs, and we can have good, honest discussions about this stuff. And the whole point is that I understand the superstition and the kind of like certain thought process with some of it. I also understand, don't be sitting there and expect me not to laugh when you tell me that Bigfoot has conversations in English, because they've upgraded on the, what'd they do, they got Rosetta Stone and learned English. I'm not quite sure. And if you can't take that, then you shouldn't have brought up this subject. So they understand that, and I've had a couple of conversations about things like that, of like good conversations, and they go, whoa. Okay, so now we're getting, Josh is saying is good pals with Sal. So are Country Carpenter. You're in good company. Sal gets a little bit out there. Salvador, my brother. Sal gets a little bit out there. Look, man, Sal takes a lot of grief from me. I think he takes more from Shoes than me. But, yes, Sal's... And I'll listen to Sal, and I'll hang out with Sal, and Sal's good people. He's my friend, my brother from another mother. But, oh my gosh, sometimes Sal's telling me stuff, and I gotta just question him. Like, have you lost your freaking mind, Salvador? So, but I love Sal's stories. And you will find, and there's a lot more stuff of Sal I have from years ago, but you will see I've posted plenty of stuff. I've talked to Sal and posted stuff about his stuff and let him. So there you go. Is Frank still using Fisher metal detectors? I think he has everything. I think he has Mine Lab. He has Fisher. He has everything. So whatever he's using is what he thinks he needs to use in that area specifically. Sometimes he'll go out with one thing, and then he'll come back, and the next time he brings something else. So Frank will use what he thinks is relevant to the type of ground and what he's looking for. So in the coil, everything to Frank. So Frank's one of those metal detection guys that it can all change and stuff. He doesn't bring 8 with him. He'll bring 1 or 2, and he comes out, and then he'll be like, oh, I should have brought this. Next time I'll do this, and I'll do that. So he has things that are specific to gold and specific to different things. Will the Grazia painting ever be found? there's so much stuff it sounds like he put in the mountains. There has to be someone's going to come up with one of the little he'd make the little potteries things, and he'd make the, the bronze things, something. I wonder how many times someone's found something in the mountains that Ted hid in the mountains and didn't realize that Ted hid it in the mountains, and they just took it home and said, check it out, man. This is like a special ed class, and this guy made the little Mexican child, and they put it on a shelf, and then it ends up in the garage, and everybody forgets about it. But nobody realized that was Ted DeGrazia's sculpture, because if you don't know it and you've never heard the story, you would just think it was like, oh, some kid made this and put it out there. It's well, that's weird. So, Wayne, who put those black handprints on the rock in that episode? Do not know. Wasn't me. Wasn't DeLille. Wasn't Magnuson. Wasn't Frank. Wasn't Woody. That's all I can say on that. And you got to remember, I only saw the one. I was pissed off at the one because I thought that was shenanigans by the production crew. I wasn't sure if it was relevant to the first one that DeLille found. DeLille he says there was two. I don't remember two, but he says there was two in that alcove across the canyon. He was on the other side of the canyon. So he was doing kind of exploring that side, and I can't remember why nobody went with him. I think because nobody just went with him. I think Magnuson was just being lazy. Woody was really tired, not doing well. I just didn't have any interest. I should have probably went with DeLille. But we sent him down one side of the canyon, and we went down the other side, and then we decided we'll sit here and wait, because I knew there was no way for him to get down and come back across. He was going to have to come all the way around, so we stopped at one point. And that's when he was shouting across the canyon to us, so we didn't see that stuff. We didn't see it till much later. I saw it in the production office a few days later when they had the pictures he took, because I think he had a GoPro. He was able to do that, and then we got some stills from it. Well, we didn't see any of that. There was no one over there at that time, because I could say when we broke for lunch, just where the canyon splits, just where it splits, that's where the Mojave was. And I was there, and the only other person from production that was there was Jesse Hayes. And Jesse stayed with me because everybody else went in to have lunch. I had some snacks in my pack. I wasn't going to hike all the way out to go sit down and eat, to hike all the way back to where I was. That sounded absolutely ridiculous. So I told them, you guys all go have a good time. I'll see you in an hour or two. I'm going to eat something here and take a nap. And then Jesse and I sat there, and I told him, just go with them. And he said, no, we're not. They told me we're not allowed to let you kind of because there was a big problem with me being let loose. You come back, I'm not there. Nobody knows where the hell I am. And I said, no, dude, I promise. I'm just going to take a nap. So me and Jesse talked for a while, and then I took a nap. When they came back, that's when we kind of made the plan, and we started to go right and all, and then we talked about the other side, and DeLille went the other way, and then we continued on. We went a short ways, and then he came back around and went around the other side, and it didn't make sense to me, and then I finally said, we got to stop, because he's got to come all the way back to us, and the further down we go with him, well, there's no way we're going. This is ridiculous, because it seems stupid. He's getting further and further away. So that's all I knew about that. He came back and talked. He was shouting it across camp. We didn't even know what he was talking about for the most part. We didn't have. I don't know why we didn't have a walkie-talkie. We're just yelling, and we're like, "Get pictures of it. What are you talking about?" And he was all over the place over there. So that's a DeLille question, what he thought of that. The ones in the camp when we got back, you just look at my reaction. It's like, let's just go. Because I was so done. Because it was so stupid and planted in the middle of the camp. And I just felt it was shenanigans by the production crew. And I was over it. And that was one of those moments where you can just tell in my face, just my reaction is like, I do such a great job acting. Yeah, we're done. And that was it. You couldn't get me to do anything else, and I just walk out of frame. I'm over it. It's like, you guys. And then I was just in a bad mood about that, so we went up, got to the truck, and once we got in the truck, I just vented to everybody about stupid bullshit. because I hated that. When they do something, if they're going to keep that in, we're going to look stupid. That looks stupid. That looks so freaking stupid, you guys. Even if, blah, blah, blah. And yeah. So, but we all felt that way. The problem is there's an NDA and certain things in place at that time, and you can't prove it because you weren't there. I don't remember it being there, and it just, the silliness of it. But those people were back behind us. That's the lunch group. So it's like, you guys were there. Nobody came in here and did that. Nobody's that stupid. They know there's like 15 of you over here off camera. Okay. Thanks for riling me up. If it was ink, I don't think it was ink, because I don't think it's there. That was one of the things, guy, I don't know if you ever see the video. It's on YouTube still somewhere. Ryan Gordon did it. And he did this video about, look, you can tell there was the fire ring and everything, and there never was a fire here, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, we never built a fire ring. He was claiming we weren't there, and this didn't happen because there was no fire ring. And I'm thinking, watch the episode. We didn't build a fire ring because we were on rock. And we just we just built a fire on the rock. And it's like, there was no reason to have a fire ring, because it was just, we'd have to go out and wander around looking for rocks to build it. So it was just easier to have the fire there. And we had a very brief fire, and then everybody, Frank and Woody, laid down. Magnus went metal detecting. I laid over by the rock. Let's see. They're supposed to be in PVC pipes or tubes. Yes, they're supposed to be in there, and they're supposed to be 3 tubes bundled together. So they're supposed to be in tubes of 3, tied together, bundled together. I don't know if it would be. And that's where it gets weird. It was funny because DeGrazia's brother said that he stopped by his house one day, and he had these tubes, and they were bundled together, tied together with rope or something, or cord. He said there was a bunch of them in the back of the truck, like 5 or 6 bundles. And he saw them. And he said he didn't know nothing about the paintings, the rest of the stuff. He just knew he saw those bundles in the back. Is that where Ward got it from? Who knows? So, but if it was ink, it would have washed off. I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. There's that moment where you just couldn't care less. It's not even something I would snap a picture of, because I would be like, I don't want that. That's bull. So, no. So, I don't know. Nobody went out there to check that spot. And you would be able to tell if it was ink or anything that they had to wash off. So I don't know. It wouldn't have been charcoal. It would have been charcoal. It wouldn't have been that black. So there you go. I don't think it was ink. Great podcast. I hope so. Remember reading, there was a picture of the Peralta mine. Does that still exist? There was a picture of some of the Peralta mines. Gene Reynolds talked about it. It was a book that had the name Peralta or Peralto on the front of it. It's in a book called I'm trying to get a look at it because it's right there. Borrego 13. Gene did it on disc, and then he made some more discs. I don't know if it was ever in hard copy. I have a hard copy of someone put together of it. Gene was a really nice guy. It was a kind of an odd tale, but it's very much kind of a really cool tale about him in his life, starting with the Borrego mines and Glen McGill, Killer Mountains, and that stuff. But he visited the Ruth family in a book about Peraltas that had old photos in it of mines in the Superstitions, and I know that. Now, there was also the story of the Salazar survey, where they had several tintypes that were of different points in the mountains that showed the area of where the mines were. So I don't know which one you're referring to. Salazar survey, that was just related to someone after the fact from a Peralta from Spain who brought that material, and that was passed down along to, I believe it was Chuck Ayler and Clay Wurst. And then the other story is Gene Reynolds' story that he saw that book. And we've all been looking for that book, and some people think they found it, but nobody's come up with it. But he said he's got a little drawing of it, and then he talks about it, and he says it was there, and he just looked at it kind of opened it up and was thinking, oh, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that existed. And he put it back on the bookshelf. Never occurred to him what he might have in his hand. Was it the Dutchman, one of those mines, or something to do with that book? We'll never know. So it could change a lot of things. It could be so many different things. But yes, he just was browsing, because and I think in the manuscript, in the book, he talks about, you look at what's on someone's bookshelf, because this was a bunch of Adolf Ruth's old books, the ones that Irwin had kept long after Adolf, and he was looking at them and saying, you kind of learn or know something of a person from looking at the books they had. And he said that book just kind of jumped out. He was like, what is that? And he pulled it out. It was like, that's interesting. Peralta's, I forget, the Peralta's have to. So then I think it was Eleanor Ruth. Eleanor was coming downstairs, so he put the book back to be polite and left it there, and then talked to her. He also felt like he might be back, so it wasn't till much later that he realized. You did look sort of pissed. I was pissed. Trust me, there were times I was pissed, and I was not to be trifled with, and there were problems because of that. And it was because I didn't like... I think there was several times what filmed, I can point out to you that you can tell I'm just almost just pissed off, and I'm so done with something, and I just want to be done with it. There were times I was in a good mood and it was tomfoolery and bullshit, but there was times that they kind of pushed the line to me, and I thought, it's not about entertainment, it's just getting Disneyland corny stupid. And when that would happen, you can tell I get very tight. The medicine wheel thing, we were talking, and they were giving us lines, and I don't like being fed lines. And they were trying to feed lines, and if you watch that, you will see I'm standing in the middle of the five of us talking, and then it cuts scene, and when it comes back, I'm on the end. And Frank's in the middle talking because I refused to say some of the things that he was saying, some of the stuff. I basically said, this is not the only one of these in this area, and generally it's sitting up on a sloped angle of rock. There wouldn't be any debris around it, so it's really hard to date and whatever. I did the right thing, saying this could have been built here a week ago. It could have been built here 100 years ago. I doubt that it could be that old because people would have taken it apart, but then people have been known to put it together. And we talked off and on about this, and it was not what they wanted. They wanted something else. And that's where I would get that kind of like, I understand. Jesse Feldman told me at one point, when in doubt, just shut your mouth and don't say a word, because they can't do anything if your lips are not moving, which they did do with shoes. They had my back turned and me talking. But yes, so I turned. No, you didn't miss it, Dallas. You're there at the end. You're close, and we're finishing up. But yeah, welcome, Dallas. Yeah. Well, we ate all the food and we drank all the beer, and everything's done. But Dallas, you can clean the dishes. But no, that was one of those things that would happen. And so if you watch that, that's that magical moment. I'm in the middle, and I talk, and I say a few things. And then next thing you know is the only line I say. Frank's in the middle, I'm on the end, and I just go, all right, we should get going now. And that was it. That was my line. And I think they edited it and cut it to where you see me in the middle, but then I suddenly jump, and then I just say, let's go. Because they had done me dirty at that point. I do not want to be fed lines. I don't mind if you say, hey, can you guys talk a little about this, but do not start feeding me straight lines. And when they did that and the way it sounded, I was like, no, now you want me just to be stupid, and I don't want to sound stupid. If I'm going to be stupid, let me be stupid on my own. If it was faked by history, it was going to be the most senior member. But no, everybody out there did stupid shit. There's no such thing as a senior member. Senior member, they were fighting all the time. There was times those guys were literally going at it and having all kinds of arguments and fights. The producers. The crew was good. But the producers would get into like some, not really punch, but they would get into screaming matches. There was Christian Horner and Russell Muth up on the freaking this hill once, just letting each other have it, screaming and yelling, and me and Frank are just looking at each other like, wow. man, because they had some difference of opinion, and both of them thought they, I don't know, for whatever reason, should call the shot, and I don't know, and Jesse Hayes came over and said, "You guys need to move down the road." I'm like, "Hey, dude." It's like, what the hell? Because, the funniest part, me and Frank always said, is the only two people with guns out here are me and Frank. So no matter what happens or goes down out there, me and Frank are good. We could take everybody out and just leave. So pawn that camera equipment. Or maybe History Channel, actually, the Black Legion. Now, History Channel couldn't be the Black Legion. They're not smart enough. Do you think Miguel Peralta was related to the Peraltas? All Peraltas would be related. They're Rispe. We did a lot of research for them, and I don't know what happened to the family member we were communicating with. Me and someone else and myself and I had kind of like trying to figure if one of us could get someone to talk to us. I know Linda Peralta's family. It's very difficult because there's a lot of verbalization of family history, but not a lot of it written family history. And you have to find the old Bibles and which family member got the old Bible that has the stuff in it that shows you the lineage of what, and they only would hold sometimes 2 or 3 generations. It's rare that a family really, really retained it because most of the time everybody's pretty damn poor. So they didn't really know a lot. And as a family fragments and brothers and sisters, think about it. 5, 6 brothers and sisters, 5, 6 different branches. Those 5, 6, 2, 3 generations, bang, it's all over the place. So I don't know. That's always a hard one because Peralta's kind of a Smith Jones, Johnson, Jackson type of thing. Truth, I don't know. Did I miss? Okay, Dallas is doing the dishes right now. Any assessment of the tales and searching for the buried treasures? A 2-year odyssey by Ron Quinn. Okay. They wanted a shill. That ain't your style. It's your approach. That's why I am here. Well, you know what? If they would have offered me bags of money, if you pop down bags of money and say, here's a lot of money, we'd like you to do this, then I can honestly turn to you and say, you know what, that was a bunch of fake bullshit, but they offered me giant bags of money, and for giant bags of money, you and I and your mother would do this. So there. So I would honestly always say that was part of my thing with a couple groups that wanted me to film for other things. I said, if you offer me this money, it wasn't going to make me rich, but if you're going to compensate me fairly, yeah, because I can always tell people I was I don't have to tell them the truth, but I can say I was compensated to do this very, very well. So I did a great job of what they exactly wanted done because of my compensation. I'm smart enough to know that. They can edit, do whatever. It's, it's your approach. That's why I'm here. Or perhaps you, Wayne Tunnel Frank, are actually the Black Legion. No, Sal says I'm the Black Legion. Frank can't be the Black Legion. He's law enforcement and all that stuff. They wouldn't let him in. Nah, we had a vote. We said, nah. We need the skinny white guy out. So Frank's, yeah, he can sit out there with the gun, guard the door. What is the most accurate story you believe leads the Dutchman? I always still say it's whatever Jim Bark wrote down that he compiled his manuscript off of, and I believe the Spangler family has all that material. And I think it's the closest, it's the earliest material. I think everything else is, let's face it, well, and even though, because it's all newspaper articles that they're pulling together, but the first person to really try to put a proper book together is Orrin Arnold, and that's, 1935, and for the Dons, and then Storm in 39 for Trail of the Dutchman, because Thunder God's Gold doesn't come out till the 40s, so yeah, so those 2 books would be the earliest ones, and they are so very bits different alike and not really great to base anything off of. Yeah, so I would say it was Bark, because Bark's, those notes and stuff, Bark was, before all that stuff's happening, Jim Bark's I don't know if he's dead, but he's pretty much had written all this stuff, and it's compiled, and that stuff's done. Sims Ely took a lot of that material, what the Spangler family allowed him to have, and then wrote his book, had his ghostwriter write it based off that. So, what is the, okay, so that what I would always say, it's whatever, it's the stuff we haven't seen, but it has to do with that. So I'd say the Bark Notes give you kind of more accurate portrayal of a lot of things. And the funny thing is, with a lot of the people he talks about and stuff, you can actually time date, find those people and who they were and stuff. There's a lot of research you can do around that stuff and find a lot of real things. The problem with all the other stuff is it's just loose cannon stuff. But in a serious note, you should invite Frank over for some beers on a Friday afternoon. You realize how far away Frank lives? Yeah, Frank has his house with the cats and Angie. I have my house with the dogs. We don't live anywhere near each other. The Peralta Bible. It would be in Spanish, though, but not German. The Peralta Bible. Wonder if they're the Peralta... Well, Shoes has a lot of the Peralta stuff, Bobby. You've been, I'm sure, to Goldfield, the museum. There has all that stuff that's in that museum. A lot of that stuff came from the Peralta family. There's documents and papers and all kinds of stuff in there. Bob Shoes got donated by the Peralta family. Where was I? Yeah, getting Frank to come all the way across town, I'd have to pick him up, bring him over here, and then take him home. Or let him stay. You know, it's like, nah. It's usually... No, we'll have to show them how to do some stuff. We used to do stuff together occasionally live, like at the museum and certain events like that. But the museum got kind of funny and, funny. And I kind of felt like they've never shown us a lot of appreciation sometimes for the stuff we've done and tried to help. And yeah, so because of that, we quit doing those. Because I liked doing the lives when they had events. That was a big thing to me. We'll go down and we'll do lives. Me and Frank will do lives at the museum when they're having one of their events, one of their little cultural things and stuff. And that would be cool. And then a couple of people down there actually said something to me. It's like, and I was like, get someone to talk to me. Now, of course, fortunately, Jim Swanson's gone. Jim never really cared. But, yeah, I got kind of that feeling of like, oh, you guys don't dig what we're doing. We're trying to bring you in people, which brings you money, which helps the museum. And you want to talk about UFOs, and you want to talk about ghosts and crap and make people pay out the butt for that stuff. But having us just sit here and do this and bring more people in and kind of show off and kind of be entertained, you don't want that. You got a guy that's, got a chicken that plays the piano, for Christ's sake. Hey, Ken, if you're watching, we love you. If you took that bag of money, you would understand and not judge. Well, Elaine, if you take that money, we would understand and not judge. I wouldn't give a shit. I'd have a bag of money. Lots of bags of money. So I'll tell Frank, though, he's supposed to come over, drive over, and have a beer and do the, fuck that shit. And I'll actually, you know what? Next time we talk, I'll try to record it, because I guarantee you his exact words are going to be, fuck that shit. Fuck that. Yeah, it's exact words. Okay. I've been here a few times. Tell Frank we'll pay for gas and buy pizza. Oh, it's Friday. There's always pizza. This is pizza tonight. I don't know Frank. I don't know. He's different. He's my friend. I never want to be insulting. In fact, I got to call him this weekend, but and I'm so busy with work, and I feel like I'm ignoring him wrong. Can you use a sluice box in the Superstition? You could. It's not a modern mechanical device or anything, electronic and so forth. So you could pack it in on your back and use it in the creeks. You could. I would think that would not be defined under as mechanical. I don't know. The better person maybe to ask that would be Ron Feldman or Bob Shoes, but I don't think it would be considered mechanical because you're allowed to pan. So I would think that would be a manual process. You could probably a rocker box or something like that if you walked it in. We're going to get wrapping up here. God, this went by fast today, and I thought it was low energy and it wasn't going to be very good. It was going to be tough. Hey, Dex, what you doing? You're almost on camera. What you doing? Man, I can't bring the camera to show, but yeah, the feral dog is almost in here. Now he left, but no, he had his head sitting in here, was watching us. Dexter! Oh, man. Okay, so Jackson and Rocky were in here, and Dexter decided to come and lay his head in. He will not come in this room. He doesn't like being in here because there's noisemakers in here. But no, so we're gonna kind of. Woody uses I don't know. You'd have to ask Woody. He uses different sluices and different things. And rocker boxes. Well, he has a big. I think we filmed Woody's operation. I mean, he has big sluices, little sluices. I think he has baby sluices. He has sluices everywhere. He's a sluice master. Yeah, he can process a lot of dirt. Cheers. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Dallas. I'm looking forward to seeing you again here this fall too. Hope you make it out to the Rendezvous. Definitely, buddy. Come on, Dexter. Want to see? Yeah, we're gonna do a video sometime of Dexter about his beginnings to ends, because he's a very interesting story and process, and it's good for people to learn how to deal with animals like that, because you're dealing with a wild animal, and he's been through a lot in life, and so he's my boy. And I won't even spoil it, but yeah, the whole reasoning for Dexter being here and me getting Dexter ended up being something that was never going to happen, which really sucked in the end. Okay, so let's all have a good weekend. Yeah, there's different film of Woody's and stuff and all that. Bigger crowd tonight. Thanks. Well, thanks, everybody. Remember the Rendezvous, 25th, 26th, 27th of October. Drinking Stella and enjoying the show. Okay. So there we go, and thank you for saving him. Yeah, I did. I saved that boy. He had attacked a couple people, and that boy was on his way out. And there was just something about him that there was just something about him. Maybe it was I just felt bad for him that they gave him such a crappy name. But who knows what his name was. Like I said, we'll do a video sometime and see what we can put together of pictures and video I have of him, and you watch the difference between that dog from then. Even now, I don't think any of you would be able to deal with him, but in the family, it's changed so much, his trust level. So, and it makes you really happy when you've brought that along, especially after a couple of years, when you realize, my brother, who's a vet, told me that he might take a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. He may never come around. I didn't realize how tough it could be. So it is so cool when they do come around and stuff. Okay, so there we go. And Country Carpenter's still there. Have a great weekend. You too, man. Don't, guys, when you put stuff up, don't take it down, man. Leave it up. Why? There's no harm in saying stuff. We all say stupid stuff. See, I can't take my stuff back. It's recorded, and then I post it on YouTube, and then I'll go, damn, why did I say it like that? Man, that sounded stupid. I just live and, just live and let live. I just rescued a pit bull puppy a year ago in the hurricane. There you go. Cool. So, always try to rescue dogs. Jack's not a rescue. He's a Whitman ranch dog. Well, puppy. His dad and mom worked by the corrals. So, he's got the easy life. Sleep tonight, everyone. There is no paranormal. There you go. He was trapped, almost getting hit by cars and crying. There you go. Enjoy your weekend. Same for Trevor. Yeah, I don't know. Trevor's not back yet, but it is time for a cigarette. It's been well over an hour. I'd like to have a cigarette and another drink to Bob Ward. And everybody else, thank you for joining us. We will see you. Check out Monday, Chasing Legends. Check out our Friday Live. Until the next time, we'll figure out, we got to come up with a closing song. Happy Trails. I got to learn Happy Trails. We'll start doing that. Oh, that'd be funny. Anyways, thanks for joining us live. Everything's backwards here, so I'm trying to remember that I got everything normally on my left is on my right, and that's it. So we will finish up here. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Catch us on Monday. We'll catch you next Friday, unless something completely. Like I said, I was working today and I still made it in, so we should be good. I will play the guitar as soon as I get off of here and have a cigarette. That'll be the next thing I'm doing, because they're ordering pizza. So I am going to sit back and play the guitar for a while. Have a good night.